So I'm always very reluctant to record videos on this topic. I am much happier talking about alcohol-free living in a way that I think might inspire you to change or helps you see sobriety in a different light. I just think that's a good place to be making change happen from. But I also know that it's important we talk about the reality of drinking too. And part of that means looking at the risks that you're taking as a drinker. And I'm not just talking about the health risks here, although I've got to say, it seems to me that every week I read something new about alcohol and how dangerous it is. I mean, I just saw this article the other day saying that women should avoid alcohol completely to reduce their risk of breast cancer. And I know you'd probably rather not think about that stuff, but the risk to your health if you're a drinker is unavoidable. But it's not the only risk. Today, I really want to talk about the risk of things like someone smelling alcohol on you the next day on a weekday morning, or the risk you take when you finish off your work emails after your second or third glass of wine because you've had a bad day and now you're a bit more inclined to write what you really think. Then there's the risk that you take when you pretend to remember that conversation you've had with someone, or you pretend to remember something that you agreed to, but it's actually all a blank in your mind. Then there's the risk you take when you pretend that you are just on your first drink, but really you're not. So you've got to hide the evidence of the others and you have to lie to cover that up. I started thinking about these risks after a conversation with one of my students who's taken my Getting Unstuck course and quit drinking for a long time now. But she was reflecting on all the mornings when she drove her daughter to school and hoped she was okay to drive, but she wasn't totally sure. And this is someone who I know would never dream of drinking and driving in the evening. That was a very hard no. But every morning she'd get up, drive to work, drop her daughter off on the way, and she'd push through a hangover. So was she safe to drive? Probably not on some days. I think there was a real risk of causing an accident and goodness knows what happening. Or can you just imagine the risk of being pulled over in one of those random police checks and failing the breath test on like a Tuesday morning? Can you imagine how embarrassing that would be to fail a breath test on a weekday morning? Not because you'd been out the night before, but because you'd spent Monday evening after work quietly drinking at home alone. I know I have definitely driven in the morning when I don't think I should have. And that was a stupid risk to take. And yeah, talking about that got me thinking about all these other risks that you just end up taking when you're drinking, perhaps without really realizing. Because if you are coming home from work and drinking several glasses of wine or a bottle of wine most nights or maybe every single night, then over the weeks and the months and the years, that's quite a significant chunk of time when you are just completely checked out. Your car is parked on the drive, you are physically inside your house, but mentally, you're not there. So if something does happen, if there's an emergency, if someone needs you, it's really hard to show up for them or yourself. It's hard to think clearly and work out what to do. And I can't tell you how many women I've worked with over the years who tell me that after a certain point in the evening, they just don't even bother to answer the phone because they don't want to get caught out. Right? They would rather take the risk of being unavailable than the risk of saying and doing something that they regret. But that's a risk as well. So all in all, it's a hell of a lot of risk taking. And it's not the sexy kind of risk taking. It's not the living life on the edge, pushing the boundaries, because you're on the verge of a breakthrough and something amazing, it's not that kind of risk taking, is it? It's the worrying, scary, could lead to something really bad type of risk taking. So I know this is a bit of a downer video and it's a tough topic to think about, but I do want to finish with 2 questions for you. First of all, what are the risks that you are taking day in, day out with your drinking? I mean, the physical risks, the risks to your relationships, your career, your reputation, whatever it is. Do allow your mind to actually go there for a minute, because I suspect you try not to go there most of the time if you're like I was. And my second question for you is, are those risks definitely worth it? Personally, I decided they weren't. So I decided to take a risk on sobriety instead. Thought that I was so good at taking risks, I may as well extend that talent to something completely different. And taking a proper break from drinking and really committing to going all in and betting on myself and finding out what it was really going to be like, that was the best risk I've taken in ages. And I think it might just be for you as well. So I'm Kate B. Please go ahead and leave me a comment below and let me know, how do you feel about the risks that you're taking? And could you be persuaded to take a risk on sobriety?